So he's going to be arraigned today. What's going to happen? Is he going to proceed to trial? Is he going to try to get a deal? Let's bring in our power panel. With me this morning, retired criminal defense attorney Kirk Nurmi, former prosecutor, former SLED agent Tommy Pope, and law enforcement expert Sonny Slaughter. Great to have you all here. Sonny Slaughter, would you start us off, please? What do you expect to happen with Mr. Vang?
Good morning, everyone. Great to see you all. You know, I think that hopefully they won't have to give him a deal of any kind because he is heinous, abhorrent, and actually needs to have full prosecution and all the elements laid out and get the time that he deserves. But I don't know what the investigation looks like. Hopefully they have buttoned it up, it's tight, and they can go forward without a deal because he deserves every single thing that he gets after what he did to poor Elijah.
I love everything you just said, Sonny. I love what you said. No deals for this guy if I was that prosecutor. I'm not, though. Let's look at this clip. We've got from the last hearing, the judge looking at some text messages being introduced into evidence supporting probable cause for Mr. Vang's arrest.
What I think kind of ties it all together here is the testimony regarding the text messages from February 18th. And specifically the defendant messaging Ms. Bauer that I'm going to make sure he hates me for being here. The message that he did fear me. He didn't respect me. Now I'm making him respect me. That tells me that the reasonable inference there is that Mr. Vang is carrying out actions that are designed to instill fear in the child.
What a man he is. Put a 3-year-old in fear of him. My gosh, Kirk Nurmi, you were a criminal defense attorney for many, many years. If you're representing this guy, would you even expect the state to offer him anything?
Well, you know, that depends on the plea deal. But at the same time, you know, when we talk about offers, Julie, and we talk about this guy who thinks he's a big man, I don't think he's man enough to admit to what he did. I think he's a coward. And I say that based on experience because I know that guys like this are going to not accept responsibility. They're going to want, even if they're offered something, they're not going to admit to what they did. They don't think they did anything wrong, what have you. They, you know, and I think the evidence, if the evidence is strong enough, as Sonny indicated, perhaps mom could maybe be the one who takes a deal and puts this guy away for life. So I think if you're the prosecutor, you know, if you've got strong evidence, you put him away for life. And or if his cowardice, hubris combination doesn't allow him to admit to what he did or feel like what he did is wrong, he's going to go to trial despite any offers that might be made.
I love what you said, Kirk. I couldn't agree more with the idea that this guy's a big coward, making that 3-year-old child afraid of him. I just can't. I'm sure he's going to meet a lot of scarier people when he is sentenced in this case, if he's convicted. Tommy Pope, let me go to you next, please. Tapping into your experience as a prosecutor, would you walk us through some of the things that these prosecutors are going to have to do when they assess whether or not to offer this guy anything?
Sure. Normally, again, I always explain to my victims it's the state versus so-and-so. So the victim, you listen to them, but you have to do what's right for justice and right for the state. In this circumstance, you know, the first victim arguably would be the mother who seems to be complicit in the whole thing. So I think it's going to be based on the evidence. I think it's going to be based on what the prosecution feels they can prove. I think Kirk's spot on. These kind of guys, you know, they could probably offer him time served. I'm saying that tongue in cheek, and he would say he didn't do anything wrong. And so I think the prosecution is going to pull their case together, and I always treat it like I'm going to trial and then decide if there's even a reason, as Sonny said. I'm not sure there is a reason for, you know, a lesser plea.
Oh, that's good. Oh, I love that, Tommy. Yeah, you're holding the cards. You know, when you're a prosecutor, you can choose to dole out a deal if you think it's appropriate or choose not to. This guy going before a judge at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. And we've never heard him speak. We've never heard him say anything in court. So we're wondering, might he speak at his arraignment today? What can we expect? Kirk Nurmi, let me go to you on this. Do you think that he's going to talk?
Well, I mean, other than maybe stating his name and date of birth, I don't think we're going to hear much out of him, maybe entering a plea of not guilty. I mean, that's an arraignment really isn't the forum for that anyway. Most of the judges are just, this is just the escalator. They're getting people through the system at this point in time. Mm-hmm. So nothing of real substance is going to come out here as we move forward. But it's in the coming days when the evidence starts coming out, that's when we're going to see his response probably in his actions. And probably I bet we're going to hear some jail calls because guys like these tend to talk on jail phones as well.
That's right.
Yes. Oh, good point, Kirk. Sonny, let me get you on that point. Law enforcement listening in at that point?
Absolutely, absolutely. They are listening in, trying to figure out who he's talking to. Is there somebody new? Who else might have known this information? Has he ever done this before? That is something that we haven't talked about. Has he dated someone and he's done this? Why would somebody think that this is normal behavior for a young child? So they're going to be listening for those clues and then making the difference between what happens with the prosecution.
Exactly, exactly. So they're gathering more evidence, seeing if he says anything on the jail calls, going to turn it over to the prosecutor, see what they want to do with him. We're going to follow that. 12:30 is the time. We're going to leave it there for now.